All right. Welcome to the live unboxing. I know it's been a while since I've been on here, and truth be told, I don't know how many of these I'm going to do, but I'm here right now, and so we're going to hang out. I got all my seeds ordered for the spring season um, this year, and this year I decided to order them all from one place, and you'll see who that is. I just love these folks. They're right here in Georgia. They're a great company. I've been to go visit their warehouse and hang out with them, and I just love them to death. And I'm so thankful that I get to support a local to me company like this. And um, seeds are seeds. A lot of people talk about when you buy seeds, you should buy them from the region that you're in. And well, I've done that. I bought them from the southern region. You know, there's a lot of great seed suppliers out there, and I don't have anything against any of them. I've only ordered, I think I started doing this in 2015, and I've ordered a lot of seeds. And I would say in all those years, 10 years of getting seeds, I've only gotten one package of seeds that were just absolutely no good. I couldn't get germination out of them to save my life. And I contacted the company and they said, sorry. And that was it. And that's okay. I got other seeds from them and they were fine. But this one package of beet seeds, they were golden beet seeds. Um, they were just no good. I couldn't get them to germinate, and so I don't grow golden beets anymore. I mean that's okay. But I wanted to refresh most of my seeds. I've got quite a few, excuse me, fairly old seeds, and I wanted to do a refresh on a lot of them. Seeds can get old, and the germination rate can go way down on them. If you keep your own seeds, I highly suggest that you do a germination test on them. You know, get you a little Ziploc bag and a paper towel, and uh, wet that paper towel and put some of your seeds in there. You know, put 10 or 20 seeds and see out of those 10 or 20 how many germinate and take an average, and that'll tell you what your germination rate is. I think it's a great idea to save seeds. I buy a lot of seeds. I save a lot of seeds. Matter of fact, I've got some hibiscus pods that I need to bust open right now. Hang on, I'm gonna grab some. So these are some hibiscus pods that I kept from last year. Don't drop it. So inside, this is what we call the ovary, and inside are the seeds. Let's see. I'll see if I can pop some out here, and I'll show you what a hibiscus seed looks like. It's a hibiscus is in the same family as okra, so it's fairly similar to an okra, but um, at least the way you remove the seeds from the ovary. Um, but it's a unique looking little seed. I don't know if you'll be able to see it or not, but I'll try. Right there. Oops, I dropped that one. Hang in there, friends. Hang on. So right there, that's a hibiscus seed. And it looks kind of like a kidney. Um, that's what a lot of people say it looks like. But so I've got all these pods. I need to get all the seeds out of them, and I will probably start those indoors. They like a pretty warm temperature to get started, about 70, 75 degrees. And I don't know what the germination rate on those is going to be. So I want to watch them pretty close. So I'll probably start them on the inside and see what they look like. Welcome, whoever popped on. Make sure to give those thumbs up if you don't mind. So I want to hear what you're planning to grow this year. Also, if you watch this on the replay, just put it down there in the comments. And man, let me know what you're growing. As you all know, I do urban homesteading. I grow a lot of food on a quarter-acre lot right in the middle of a subdivision in southeast Georgia. I got a garden in my front yard, got a greenhouse in the back where I do most of my seed starting. I grow a few things in there, chickens, and man, I just love that I'm able to do this. I know there's a lot of people that don't have the ability to do a garden in their urban setting because of 98% of the people I talk to say, well, I've got an HOA and we've got rules. Well, you know what? Find you a spot that ain't got no HOA. You know, I don't know what to tell you outside of that. You know, put some stuff in pots and call them flowers and grow you some food. But or put it in your backyard, right? If you got a privacy fence, put you a little garden in your backyard and grow yourself some food. I think it's really important. Let me back up because I'm not going to fear monger. There's a lot of people that do that, and I'm not going to do that. At the end of the day, growing a little bit of food can make a difference to your pocketbook, right? Groceries have gone up 25, 30% in the last 5 years. And you know what? There's a lot of people out there that are struggling to buy some groceries. And you can grow a lot of stuff in a small space. So I just want to encourage you, if you got a backyard or you got a patio that you could put some pots and grow a little bit of food, you will be amazed at how much you can actually produce in a small space. You don't have to have 3 or 4 or 5 acres, 10 acres, 100 acres to grow some food. If you've got it, man, what a blessing. You know, you have opportunities to do all kind of things when you get in land that's that big. But I don't have that, and I can't find any good reason to go into debt to buy a piece of property out in the middle of nowhere. I live debt free right here where I'm sitting, and I don't think that the Lord wants me to go in debt and get a mortgage on another place. Not when I've got what I've got, right? I don't require a whole lot in life. And what happens when you increase your footprint, it also increases your responsibilities. And that's really something you want to keep in mind. It's just me. And for me to manage and maintain 5 acres or 10 acres or 100 acres, it'd be quite an investment, not just for the land and the ability to live there, but in equipment to maintain it, time to maintain it, and that piece of property, as you increase, then exponentially that has to it has to create income. And I've still got a business to run, and it just doesn't make any sense to me to leave where I'm at. So urban homesteading is what it is for Pruitt Homestead, and that's just how I'm going to do it. And I'm just going to praise God every day for it. So with all that said, I hope you're encouraged by that. And let's dive into the seeds that I got. Here we go. Here's where I ordered all my seeds from this year. I think I've got everything that I want to grow this year. There might be a few plants I pick up from some local sources, but we'll see as the season goes along. You gotta keep in mind I'm on a small space. I've got limited amounts of space to grow stuff, so I have to ration that for everything I want to grow. Y'all know I grow a bunch of tomatoes every year. I love growing tomatoes. It's probably one of my favorite plants to grow. It's the thing that really kicked me off in starting to grow my own food. I know I've told this story a million times, and I'll go ahead and tell it again. Back in 2015, I was standing in the Food Lion produce section, looking at the tomatoes in that bin that they have all those tomatoes in. And I was craving a really, really good tomato sandwich. And it just hit me that those tomatoes weren't going to satisfy that desire. And so I left there on that day, and I went and bought a tomato plant, a Cherokee purple tomato plant, and I grew it right in my front yard and had the best tomato sandwich I've ever had in my life, and it was fantastic. And so at that point in time, I told myself, if you could grow that tomato, you could grow a lot of other stuff. Now, keep in mind, I grew up in a family that grew gardens and did canning, right? My grandparents always had a garden. They always raised hogs. So I was familiar with the culture, but it was not something that I had personally taken on as a way of providing for myself. And it was that year that I made the decision that, hey, this should probably be a lifestyle, because those people out there are telling me what's good for me, and I know it's no good, right? I mean, y'all know when you go to that tomato den and you eat those tomatoes that they're just not worth a flip. So why are you spending your hard-earned dollars that you work so hard for every week on something that's so insufficient, or not insufficient, but lacking in nutrients and flavor? So stop doing that. And I hope you're encouraged to go buy some seeds, go buy some plants, and grow some of your own food, and then figure out what to do with it. You got two steps. One, you need to grow it and you need to consume it and enjoy it with you and your family. And number two, if you have an abundance, you need to figure out how to store that. Are you going to freeze it? Are you going to can it? What your preservation methods look like. And that's something that I want you to keep an eye out for later on this year is I'm planning to offer some one-on-one canning classes for anybody that's, if you already got a canner, no problem. Let's get together and let's do canning together. And I want to show you how I do it, and how you can do it for you and your home. Two, if you don't have a canner, we'll get you one, and we'll get you all set up, and we'll spend a day together, and I'll teach you everything I know about canning, and we'll do it together. And I want you to be comfortable with that process of preserving food. And, we can talk about a world of things in that time that we spend together. So keep an eye out for that. I'll put it on my website, pruitthomestead.com, and you'll get to hear all about that. And we'll get it done. I'll do what I can to help you. So let's get into the seeds. What am I growing this year? Carolina Reaper. Man, I just love this pepper. This is the pepper I use for my salsa, right? I make and sell a lot of salsa, and this is the pepper that goes in there. This is what gives it the heat. Um, I'm not out of Carolina Reaper. I grew some about 3 years ago, and I still got a bunch. It doesn't take a lot. It's a hot pepper, and it doesn't take a lot in your salsa. So I want to make sure that I don't run out. And a lot of people like this pepper, so I'm going to grow some Carolina Reapers. I might grow maybe 2 plants. Once it kicks off in late summer and really gets its feet under it, you'll be blown away at the number of peppers this plant produces. Um, and if you're into selling peppers, um, people pay a premium for this pepper, up to $15 a pound, if not more. Um, so something to consider. It's a hot pepper. It'll get you. I'm telling you right now, if you're going to fool with this pepper, you better put some gloves on. I had a Mr. George came by one day and he says, "Hey, what kind of pepper is that right over there?" I said, "Mr. George, that's a Carolina Reaper. That's the hottest pepper in the world." He said, "Let me get one of them." And I said, "Mr. George, let me tell you right now, buddy, before you bust that thing open and try and get them seeds out of there, you better put some gloves on." Well, Mr. George called me later that evening, and he said, "You didn't tell me that thing was going to burn me slap up." Mr. George used his bare hands to get those seeds out of that pepper because he wanted to grow some, and I thought that was great. But he used his bare hands, and Mr. George went to tinkle, and it set him on fire. I'm not even going to lie about it. So, nonetheless, praise God for Mr. George, and he learned his lesson just like we all do when we fool around with super hot peppers. Secondly, sun sugar. So I normally grow sun gold as a variety. This looks really similar to the sun gold. Says it's supposed to be a super sweet cherry tomato, high production, disease resistance. So I think that's going to be a good one. I won't grow a whole lot of these. These are my snacking tomatoes while I'm out working in the garden and working the tomatoes, pulling suckers, pruning. I like to snack on them, and that's what that's going to be for me. The sun sugar hybrid. That should be a pretty good seedling. I'm going to grow extra plants. A lot of people like to buy some plants from me, so I will make sure that there's plenty for local folks to go around. I grow a lot of tomato plants, friends. If you're on during the live, drop a comment. Tell me who you are, where you are. I'd love to know who is watching. So number 3 on the list, zinnias. I fell in love with growing zinnias. I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, and I just love growing them. They're pretty to look at while I'm out in the garden. The neighbors love them, and they make a lot of flowers. If you'll go ahead while they're blooming, go ahead and deadhead them or cut live flowers, right? They just love to produce. They love for you to pick the flowers, because as soon as you pick them, they're ready to produce more flowers. So there's an encouragement for you. If you've never grown flowers, zinnias are easy to grow and they create a lot of flowers. I love to go out once a week and pick me a bouquet of zinnias and put them on the kitchen counter. And they just bring me joy every morning when I come out and get my coffee. So grow some zinnias, man. Put a little color in your life. These are fantastic. Tried and true Cherokee Purple. Fell in love with this 10 years ago, and I'll just grow it until the day I die, as far as I'm concerned. Cherokee Purple, I love that tomato. It's meaty. It's got a little sweetness to it, but it's not overly sweet. It's not like a cherry tomato at all. Um, it's a great slicing tomato. It's great for sandwiches. Probably, probably my favorite tomato right there. I love it with some bacon and some Duke's mayonnaise. Man, if it ain't Duke's, don't fool with it. Calendula. I grew a lot of calendula. Go ahead and get these seeds started now because they like to grow in cool weather. They do not do well in the heat at all. This is an early spring flower, and this is another one. The more you pick it, the more it produces. So, get out there every morning and pick those calendula. Dehydrate them. You could put them in some olive oil or some jojoba oil and create create a medicinal oil that's great for your skin. Put it on cuts and burns. You can make a balm out of it. We can talk about all that later. Max Pack cucumbers. I've grown these for quite a few years. It's a great cucumber. It's a pickling cucumber. If you know me, I make probably the best bread and butter pickle you'll ever put in your mouth. And I only make pickles while I'm growing cucumbers. Max Pack is very, very productive. I grow 2 rows of these that are probably about 20 feet long. And man, I just pick big old bowls of them, probably 3 or 4 times a week. So Max Pack cucumbers, great cucumber. And you know what? Guess what? You can slice it up, put some salt and pepper on it, or put it in some vinegar and have it as a side dish too. You ain't got to have one of them long tomatoes, or long cucumbers, just to have a cucumber. If you're growing pickling cucumbers, cut it up and eat it. Man, I mean, come on. Shoot. Some people think you got to have one of them long cucumbers as a slicing cucumber. You don't. Just eat your cucumbers. Praise God. Big beef. I've been growing big beef for probably about 7 years. This is a great hybrid tomato. It's your standard red tomato. It produces 5 tomatoes guaranteed on every tomato truss, and they're all about that big. They're perfect for slicing. They got a great flavor, good disease-resistant package in big beef, and I love that tomato, and I'll probably grow that for the rest of my life too. German Johnson, another favorite tomato. This is an heirloom, so you can save the seeds from it. And I've grown it probably for the last 3 years. What I love about German Johnson is when it's blushing, the blush is pink instead of yellow or orange. So it's a real pretty transition when it goes from green to red. It gets a pink hue on it. And I highly recommend, listen to me right here, folks, when your tomatoes begin to blush, you can go ahead and pick them right then. The animals around your house get hungry too. And as soon as they see a tomato starting to ripen, they know it's getting ripe too. So if you'll go ahead and pick that tomato and bring it inside, it will continue to ripen and you won't have as much loss waiting for that tomato to get ripe. You know, when a bird's flying by and it sees that there's a red tomato there, that bird's going to go and peck that tomato, and you're going to have tomatoes that have been pecked. So when they first start blushing, you could go ahead and pick them. I don't grow this one very frequently, but I said, what the heck, let's give it a go again. I like this tomato. It's really mild. It's a mild tomato. Kellogg's Breakfast. And I tell you what, if you want to grow a big tomato, this grows some big ones, friend. I mean, these produce big tomatoes. And you gotta put some extra time and effort into these. I gotta get this jacket off. I'm getting warm, friends. You gotta put some extra effort in supporting those tomato trusses, because it will put 3 2-pound tomatoes on one tomato truss, and if you don't support it, it'll destroy the plant, friends. But I mean, you want to talk about a tomato, a 2-pound tomato, you know, I mean, it's a big tomato, real mild in flavor, not real sweet. I like to cut it up in a salad, right? You know, sometimes you want other parts of your salad to shine other than your tomato, you know. It's great to put a cherry tomato in a salad, but sometimes that's just too sweet. So I like the Kellogg's Breakfast. I'll slice that up. That's great for a table slicer, a little salt and pepper on it, or put it in a salad, and it's absolutely delicious. Let's see what we got here. Medicinals. Let's do medicinals. Holy basil, love it. Fantastic. It's great for your body. And it's just a beautiful plant. You can walk by and just brush it, and man, the aroma is fantastic. I love growing holy basil. Mullein. I grow mullein every year. Great for your lungs. It's a beautiful plant. A lot of people think it's a weed. I like to grow it, pick the leaves, and get you know, dry them and put them away. Matter of fact, I got some mullein hanging right there, drying, and I've got some in the front yard that needs to be harvested and dried. I like to keep mullein around. If you get a little congestion in your lungs, make a tea out of it. I like to make a really strong tea and then just put it in the refrigerator and just sip on it all day long, and it helps break up that congestion in your lungs. Mullein, I'm going to grow some of that. I've got some folks that want to get some horehound. This is a wonderful little plant, and I've been growing it for, I don't know, 4 or 5 years. That's another awesome medicinal plant to have around the homestead. Listen to me when I say this. There's an abundance of medicinal plants in this world that the Lord has given us. Find what works for you and stick to it, right? You don't have to grow 100 different medicinal plants. They all find what grows in your area, find what works for you, and use that. Because I'm going to tell you right now, you could get out of control with medicinal herbs. You could hurt yourself. If you stack medicinal herbs, and when I say stack, teas, tinctures, and oils, let's say you're taking turmeric and ginger and horehound and mullein and holy basil, right? Your body can have a serious reaction to that, because you're pumping all this stuff into your body and it's going, hey, I don't know quite what you're trying to do, but it feels like you're trying to hurt me. And your body will turn on you, and it can make you sick. So I want you to be really careful when it comes to medicinal herbs. Find what works for you. Use it when it's appropriate. There are some things that you can take for, maybe a 6-week run, but I'd be real careful. I'd probably limit that down to about a 30-day window when it comes to medicinals, because your body can build a tolerance to it also. Use it for a month, take 3 months off. Yeah, that's my tips on that. Big bag. I love beets, and I want to grow a bunch of beets this year. So Detroit dark red. Of all the beets that I've grown, this is not the fastest growing, but it has the best flavor. It can get big and it can get pithy. So you gotta watch it. And when that beet gets about that big, right? Let's see, about that big, go ahead and pull it and make you some pickled beets or roast them or whatever it is. Slice it up in your salad, whatever, however you like to eat your beets. If you get a beet that's like that, it's likely to be kind of pithy, and when I say pithy, stringy, and they can also get bitter. So watch your beets when you're growing them. And here's a tip, right? It took me a long time to figure out how to grow beets, but I think I do okay now. When you, instead of direct sowing beets, sow them in your seed trays, 1 seed per cell. A beet has what we call it's a multi-germ seed. So in every cluster, when you see a beet seed, you'll know what I'm talking about. In every cluster, there's multiple seeds. And you'll watch it when it's coming up in your seed tray. 2 or 3, sometimes 4 will pop up in there. Do this when it first comes up and it's the cotyledon are there. Go ahead and pluck those extra plants and get them down to 1 plant per cell in your seed tray. Once they get up and they get first true leaves, second true leaves, transplant them out to your garden or out to your raised bed and space them out no less than 6 inches apart, up to about 8 inches. And I tell you what, you will make beautiful, beautiful, beautiful beets. Lots of beet greens. I know I've told you in the past, I love beet greens. You can eat them fresh, put them in a salad. I like to put them in a little butter in a pan and just wilt them down, and they're fantastic. So beets, and that's my tips for growing beets. Big bag. I did not grow green beans last year because I had an abundance of green beans in storage, but I want to grow some this year. And one that I've never grown is called a Navajo flat bean. Navajo flat bush bean. I love flat beans. I think they got a great flavor, great texture. I read some reviews about the Navajo flat bush bean, and they said that you could get a good sized bean and it doesn't get real stringy on you. So I want to give those a shot this year. I'm going to do a row of those and see how they come up. And I'll be canning some of those this year. And then last on the list is jade bush beans. This has to be the most productive snap bean I've ever seen in my life. The clusters are just hanging, friends. And I mean, when you go to pick them, you just get big handfuls of beans. And so I love growing jade bush beans. So I'm gonna grow a row of those this year also. And we're gonna make some snap beans. We'll get some beans put away. That's it for the seed unboxing. That's what I'm growing this year. Like I said, I might pick up a few plants locally. I'm not sure what yet or where I'll get them from. But if you haven't yet, man, go over to Grow House and order you some seeds, especially if you are in the South. If you're in Florida, South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, you know, in that southern region, go to Grow House and order you some seeds. Their pricing is about the same as everybody else. I don't see a significant difference in pricing from one website to the other. They are a small business, what I consider to be a small business, family run. They are employing local people in their community and keeping people employed, and praise God for that. I love that. I got the opportunity to hang out with Greg a couple of years ago for a couple of hours, and he gave me a tour of the plant out there, of the warehouse. And me and Greg just had a wonderful conversation. It was so nice to visit him, and I hope to get back over there and see them again in the near future. I love going visiting with them. So that's it for the seed unboxing, and that's my encouragement for the beginning of the growing season for 2026. As far as YouTube goes, I don't know how many YouTube videos I'll do. It seems like this is my personal opinion. Seems like YouTube is dying, right? It seems like short form content, Instagram Reels and TikToks have just taken over the entertainment market. And, the perfect example is here we are live tonight, and 6 people have popped in and they haven't stayed, right? And so what that tells me is people's attention span has gotten pretty short, and self-admittedly, I'm not immune to it either. But as far as doing long form content, videos, live videos on YouTube, I don't know how many I'll do. Whatever you get, we'll just call it a blessing, and it'll be a blessing to me to hang out with y'all, and we'll go like that. I'm not making any promises to anybody. Not doing it like I did. Not doing a weekly live stream. I ain't gonna lie to you. That wore me out, friends. That wore me out, and I learned a lot of valuable lessons in that time of my life. And I'll tell you right now, it ain't like it was. Praise God for that. All right, that's it for tonight. Thank you for watching. Again, if you watch on the replay, give me a thumbs up. Leave me a comment. Tell me what you're growing. If you're an urban homesteader, if you are growing a garden in your backyard and you live in an urban environment, in a subdivision, man, I want to hear about it. I want to hear about what you're doing. I want to hear about your successes. And you know what? If you got questions, if you feel like I can help you, ask a question, and I'll do my best to answer it. No promises on making you successful, but I'll give it my best shot. I promise you, in the 10 years of growing food, I've had a lot of failures, friends. But you got to be persistent. You got to keep doing it. Don't let failures get in your way. Keep going. Plant those seeds again. Buy more plants, and keep going and keep trying. Study up on it yourself, right? What fertilization program do you need? What kind of soil are you dealing with? If you need to go get a soil test, go get a soil test. Haas has got a great program for soil testing, and they'll tell you everything you need to know about your soil, and they'll tell you everything that you need to amend your soil to be successful from a fertilization program standpoint. So that's another great thing I love about them. A lot of people offer soil testing, but you can get it right there as well. That's it for tonight. I appreciate all y'all. I love you. I'm grateful for you. Have a wonderful 2026 growing season, and I'll see you.